Hello, everybody. This is Daily Recall, February 14th, 2026. Hope everybody's having a nice night. So, the things I'm looking at today on my social media, primarily X feed, is the our prime minister and the opposition leaders were just looking at some more scenes from that vigil or whatever they had at BC, Tumbler Ridge, I think it's called, where the mass shooting occurred, and it seems like they're just the press. They want to really just get this story behind them because it really hurts their narrative about how the Canadian government and just a lot of like provinces went all in on the trans stuff, and now they can't admit they're wrong. So they're just gonna, hold hands here. Like, say this picture's going around the internet today. It's kind of weird, the whole hand holding thing. And Pierre's got his eyes closed. Like, they're gonna make a lot of. Someone said they're gonna make a lot of memes on this. The AI. It's like, I don't know. I think you can go to a funeral or a vigil or whatever, and not hold hands with the other dude. You can still be respectful. It's kind of weird. That's all. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm heartless. So yeah, and then the other thing is in Toronto there's a big demonstration. It says 350,000 estimate. It to and usually it's usually these. There's like anti-war protests. Like I remember in Iraq, the Iraq invasion, 2003. There was anti-war protests across the world, around the world, against the U.S. invasion. And, it didn't stop the invasion. It still happened. And all the millions of people dead and displaced. But these guys, they're in Toronto, 350,000, and they're basically protesting for war. It's crazy. For a regime change, which is like you do it by war if you're going to do it, especially like with Iran. So it's like, where are these people coming from? 350,000. Like that's all that. Canada's got a lot of stuff that needs attending to. I don't know why Iran's are a top priority for these people. I didn't know there was that many Iranians around. Maybe they got some help, maybe. So we'll look at that. And then in the UK, very interesting, Rupert Lowe, MP, nationalist MP, like purportedly like a true nationalist who wants to like stop even legal immigration, not just illegal immigration, not just Muslim immigration, but all the mass immigration, like India, Africa, all that. He's going to start a political party in the UK, and it's causing a lot of hope among British nationalists. He's, they had a party, like, you had the Labour and the Conservatives uniparty, just like in Canada, let in mass migration, huge numbers in. And they had a party that formed in reaction to that. It was called the Reform Party, and they basically gave up on the whole mass deportation thing. So now this Restore is the next phase, and maybe they'll break some hearts, or maybe they'll do what they say. So we'll look at that too. But I look at the British thing because it could, it's a good indicator of what could happen here. Britain is in a lot worse shape, I think, with the immigration situation, especially with the rape gangs and all that crazy stuff. But it's coming to Canada. We're blessed by geography that we're not as close to it, but they're coming here, especially with the U.S., let's say, tightening its borders. So those are the three things. So anyway, yeah, this is a weird picture. It's weird. It's just weird. I'm not gonna lie. It's weird. Whose idea was it? Who initiated the hand holding? We'll find out. And you know, there's going to be comments on it. Here's John Paul Burke. Uniparty in Canada will now be desperate to disarm and censor the people. Mark my words. So yeah, they're going to use it as this tragedy as an excuse. They're already trying to disarm people. This will be like another reason to do it, even though it has nothing to do with gun control. It's all about certain people shouldn't be near guns. That's all. Because if you're a crazy person, if you don't have a gun and you still want to hurt people, you'll find a way. Trust me. You might do the machete attacks like they do in. Well, that's usually a third world thing, but or you can try all sorts of things, damage. But anyway, they want to frame it as a gun control thing. I agree. Uniparty Canada will now be desperate to disarm and censor the people. They also want to censor this whole narrative on the trans thing. They put a lot, it's going to be, if they should just say, we screwed up. But they won't. They got to go full on, and this will be forgotten. This whole tragedy will be forgotten. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. Holding hand things is kind of weird. I like this one by Zach Schmidt. Hey CPC bros. Hey CPC bros, is Poliev and Carney holding hands winning or 5D chess? I can't figure it out. Yeah. The influencers are quiet today on this hand holding. And then just the whole narrative of this tragedy. Quick stop the gun man. Here's a cartoon. And the RCMP is, it's gun person. Because in the RCMP press conferences, they're honoring her preferred pronouns, his preferred pronouns, I guess. That's what they're more worried about. Instead of figuring out how this happened. Because it sounds like it's very preventable. They knew this person had a lot of mental issues. It was not unknown to them. And this is what they're doing. This is global news, but they're all the same. They're framing it. What are they saying? They're making the victims of this horrific tragedy about the trans community. Just listen to this segment. Let's look at this. It's really bad coverage because they know they have to admit they're wrong. So they're just going to keep being in denial. Let's see what...
Tumbler Ridge is grieving unimaginable loss. Some community members are urging Canadians to resist division.
This is really a time to put that away.
So don't talk about what happened.
And to really think about compassion and love and really making those changes, not to attack groups.
But since the RCMP identified trans teen Jessie Van Rootselaar as the suspect in the mass shooting, anti-trans rhetoric has run rampant. Even though there is currently no evidence to suggest Van Rootselaar's gender identity is linked to the crime.
No evidence.
It's too early to say whether that has any correlation in this investigation.
Trans people are substantially more likely to be victims rather than perpetrators of violent crimes.
So literally people aren't even in the ground yet from this shooting, and Global's running this poor victim of the trans community. It's crazy. It's crazy. At least let him get buried first.
There's fear around different identities. What we know is that people don't do these things because of their individual identity.
In the wake of the tragedy, BC MLA Tara Armstrong baselessly claimed so-called transgender ideology is radicalizing youth and unlocking violent impulses. A day later, the BC Human Rights Commissioner said she is disappointed by the spread of anti-trans disinformation. Using this horrific incident to conflate trans identities with violent tendencies is incorrect, irresponsible, and frankly dangerous.
Reducing.
Yeah, there's lots of instances of mass shooters, trans shooters. This didn't come out of nowhere. in the States, they had few incidents, high-profile incidents, but no, we can't look at that as the cause. That's basically what they're saying.
The truth down to one aspect of somebody's identity, whether it's their gender, their race, pulling one aspect out of context. That's not about seeking truth.
Between 32 to 41% of trans people are estimated to have attempted suicide in their lifetimes due to stigma and discrimination. Something a now removed Reddit account, JessieBoy347, appearing to belong to Van Rootselaar, described. "It really hurts. I am genuinely considering taking my own life." The suspect's mother, Jennifer Strang,
so that wouldn't have anything to do with the shooting.
Ago, in support of her child's identity, urging an end to trans hate, Chris. Since the shooting, post has been flooded with comments chastising Strang's support for the community just days after she lost her life in the mass shooting.
All right. So, yeah, it's like, it's disgraceful, really. It's like, oh, we got to worry about the feelings of the trans community. And they're saying there's no way to tell if his like, the reason he did the shooting is because he was indoctrinated into this trans mental illness and pumped full of drugs. And instead of giving, like, proper treatment to somebody who's obviously had problems, they exasperated the problems. But no, you can't talk about it. So yeah, let's hold hands instead. Let's do this instead and not talk about because they have to admit they're wrong if they talk about it. They went all in on the trans shit. My kid's school's covered in it. All right, so the next thing we'll talk about is UK. Restore Britain, I guess. This is the guy, Rupert Lowe, MP. And I follow it because something like that would be nice in Canada. But right now we don't have a Rupert Lowe or a kind of figure. We're really divided. We got Quebec and Alberta agitating for separation and just weak leadership. But things are getting so bad in the UK because they're have a lot of closer proximity to third world migrants' roots. It's getting bad that this could be the final, like, okay, we got to really change the way Britain's run, or it could be another, bait and switch like Trump did with his mass deportation. So, but people in Britain are pretty excited because the Conservative Party in Britain's toast. It's irrelevant. Like, literally, that's why all these parties are springing up to replace it. So let's see this guy. I'm today launching Restore Britain as a national political party. Join us. So yeah, this is the big news today in Britain. They're really excited about this. But we need some leadership here in Canada, which I don't see it. We got Doug Ford with Pierre, Martin Carney, Eby. Like, we got no hardcore nationalists. And I don't know if we will have it, to be honest. There's a lot of people that are weak and rather give up. Let's see what he says here.
Every single one will...
I'm not going to look. It's 7 minutes, so I don't want to look at the whole thing, but we'll just get an idea of what this guy says.
I have chosen to speak to you today from the farm because places like this represent what proper Britain is about. Hard work, responsibility, effort, duty, stewardship. This is the England I know, and this is the England that I love. On a farm, you don't think in election cycles or headlines or polling. You think in seasons. You think in generations, in what you leave behind to those who come after you. And that's why, here on the farm, I am now launching Restore Britain as a national political party. I'm now going to dedicate my life to finding, organising, funding, and providing hundreds of qualified candidates to present to the British people at the next general election. This process has already started, with invitations being issued to patriots in aligned political parties, Reform, the Conservatives, the SDP, Advance, and more. In local politics, we will work in partnership with localised political parties, such as Great Yarmouth First, that have the best interests of their residents at heart, combining our forces at the next general election. The men and women standing for Restore in that election will not be politicians. I promise you that. They will not be failed ministers. They will not be tainted by failures of the past. They will be from business, from the military, from science, from medicine, from education, from industry, representing real communities up and down the country. Every single one will be from well outside the existing political establishment.
Could you imagine that happening?
Every single one will understand the difficult decisions that need to be taken, because there are no easy fixes. I'm not going to tell you comforting lies about the condition of our country.
No easy
I've
fixes.
only ever been honest with the British people, and I will be straight with you now. What is necessary?
See, it's the same thing in Canada. There's no easy fix. Like if that's why it might be a problem in Canada, because people don't have the strong stomachs, I guess. But to do the whole mass deportation and remigration thing, they've screwed up the immigration thing so bad that it's not gonna be an easy fix. So what he's saying for Britain is very irrelevant for Canada. But at least he's talking straight. He's saying it straight. It's not gonna be easy. That's all right.
They will not be failed ministers. They will not be tainted by failures of the past. They will be from business, from the military, from science, from medicine, from education, from industry, representing real communities up and down the country. Every single one will be from well outside the existing political establishment, and every single one will understand the difficult decisions that need to be taken, because there are no easy fixes. I'm not going to tell you comforting lies about the condition of our country. I have only ever been honest with the British people, and I will be straight.
Things are getting bad.
What is necessary will be incredibly painful. But for the first time in a very long time, voters will have a genuine alternative which is truthful with them about the scale of what now has to be done. The first priority is to control who comes to our country, and more importantly, who stays in our country. Restore Britain will not just stop mass immigration, we will reverse it.
See, this applies to Canada.
Every single illegal migrant will be securely detained and then deported. The message will be unrelenting. If you are in this country without our permission, you will be removed. For the foreseeable future, far more people must leave Britain than arrive. If a foreign national is unable to speak English, lives in social housing, claims benefits, refuses to work, fails to integrate, commits crime, or even actively hates our way of life and wishes to do us harm, then they must leave or be made to leave.
He just described most of the Khalistan guys.
Will make our communities safe again.
Most of the Muslim guys.
That, I promise you. If that means millions go, then millions go. We're constantly told that the economy needs vast swathes of low-skilled migrants. We know that's simply not true. What we need is to get millions of healthy Brits back into work. A radical overhaul of how welfare is delivered. Protecting those in genuine need, but not funding healthy shirkers to live off the back of hard-working men and women. If you can work, you must work. It really is that simple. Restore Britain will be abundantly clear. If you consistently refuse work, then you will lose your benefits. We will punish indolence, and more importantly, we will reward success. We will provide vast economic incentives for men and women to start businesses, generate opportunities, build wealth, and create self-sufficient families. Standing here today on the farm, I know exactly what it means to deal with energy bills, labour shortages, regulation, unproductive paperwork, planning restrictions, tax, and endless uncertainty. The state has definitively become the enemy of the people. Restore Britain will burn away suffocating taxes on work. And
so he's talking about that too. So it's all good stuff he's saying. It's pretty, it kind of shows how frustrated British people are about the state of their country. So we'll see if he follows through or if he wins. That would be crazy if he wins. And then the result. But I think what he wants to do is change the national, like the consensus where, Britain has to be a multicultural society. He wants to change that narrative. Changing the narrative is almost as important as getting the people on the planes. So a lot of excitement. But what he said, a lot of it all applies to Canada. That's why I wanted to hear it. And it's interesting because a lot of these guys are like, usually they're fakes, like 1BC or that German AFD party. They always, or Farage, the Reform Party in the UK, they always focus, or Pierre Poilievre in Canada, they always focus on the illegal immigrants or the illegal refugee claimants or the criminals instead of the actual, like the legal immigration, which is flooding the country. Like, obviously both are bad. So a lot of the and they only, some of these fake ones only talk about Muslim or demonize the Muslim or say we should get rid of the Muslim ones, but I think we can work on them all. But obviously they have an agenda. So yeah, he seems like the real deal. We'll see. But Britain I think they're in the state of destruction that anything is possible. Because it looks like the Labour Party, which is the equivalent of our Liberal Party, is hugely unpopular. So there will be an election. They'll probably lose it. The Conservatives are garbage. Only boomers vote for them, and even those people don't vote for them. So this guy could come in and scoop it up. It'd be crazy. And I said, this needs to happen in Canada. I like the PPC would be the obvious referred alternative or version, Canadian version of Restore, but they always seem more like as a populist party than a nationalist. And like a nationalist party, you have to be a little more picky with the population. You're not really a populist party or a nationalist party. I don't know. But they didn't. I know PPC. I voted for them. Whatever. I like them. They might have to. They didn't go into the mass deportation remigration thing. They were always like moratorium or like stop it, which is good. But we're in the position now that we have to decide if we're gonna, reverse the situation or even stop it. Stopping it's going to be hard. Reversing it's going to be hard. So we need something like that in Canada. I don't know if it'll happen. UK's an island. It's smaller. Might be easier to get something like that going. Canada's very divided. The Restore Britain platform is mass deportations and remigration. Millions must go. Anything less is a waste of time. Things are far worse in the UK, so perhaps a cohesive, authentic Canadian Nationalist Party will emerge here once we reach the same cliff as the UK. Because they're on the cliff. It's like if they don't do something now, it's over. I don't know how close we are to the cliff, but we're not far. I don't think we're as close as the UK. They're a bit ahead of us. But I like to look at them because they are ahead of us. So it's like you can kind of see where this is going by looking at their situation. Rupert Lowe officially launches new political party, Restore Britain. Establishment is in ruins. yeah, we'll see if they let this guy do what he says he wants to do. They'll go after him, or they'll subvert him, or they'll get him, like they'll control him, or he won't. Like, it'll be interesting to watch. Let's see, Dominion Society of Canada react. It's right up their alley. They like what he's saying. It's not time to conserve. It's time for reform. It's not time for reform. It's time to restore. That's good. So what's this? It's not time to conserve. It's not time for reform. It's time to restore. So it's kind of a nod to Rupert Lowe. See, this applies to Canada. Let's see this video here. That's a cool little edit. I like it. But there, that's a little nod to restore. We'll see. Let's see what this video from Restore. This video was posted by the new political party movement in the UK, founded by Rupert Lowe, independent MP. Drop a. Let's see what
is good. I've got belief in the British people. What I call proper Britain. People in this. In 1997, Britain was in good shape. We knew who we were. We were still one country. Most importantly, the population was stable and immigration was under control. I think the state is bad, and I think the individual is good. I've got belief in the British people. What I call proper Britain. People in this country who are British, who've got genuine concerns about what's happened to their country. I've set up Restore Britain. We must now collectively, but legally, bring the fight to them.
Activation word, Warrington on sea.
What will the British government do to you? 2 words. Detain, deport. Take hard decisions and deport. The power of a united English/British people is what's going to change the way we're governed. That's why Restore Britain is so important.
So, yeah, I don't see this happening in Canada right now because I don't see any leadership. The Conservatives and Liberals are basically 2 wings of the same bird. So I don't like Max is good too, PC, but his English not so good. And yeah, I don't see anybody right now. So that's what's going on in the UK. It's interesting, very interesting. I just don't see it right now in Canada. Might never happen. One of the Alberta guys said it's never going to happen in Canada. Alberta independence is the only way to go. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's right. I don't know. Okay, and the last thing is this Iran war. Interesting. So there was 350,000 people, they say, in Toronto. And they had a big one the other week too. It's like, where are these people coming from? Is there that many Iranians in Canada? But there's a lot of Jewish people there too. I don't know if they bust them in or whatever, because the Jewish people, the Israelis want to change that regime in Iran, and there's reports that the U.S. is going to bomb it soon. A multi-week bombing campaign, and it could end there or it could keep going. Iran is not like Iraq in 2003. They're not defenseless. I mean, it could be nothing, but it could be horribly destructive and bring thousands or tens of thousands of refugees to Canada, like the Syrian thing. So the funniest thing I see about this crowd in Toronto is, like I said, most people Most people go to war protests, like the protests against the government starting war, like Iraq. But these guys are going to protest for war, like, because that's what's going to happen. The U.S. is building up their force, and they're trying to make it publicly acceptable to do what they're going to do, let's say. And for Canada, we got so many problems. And the fact that this is I never seen 350,000 people out for protesting to save Canada. I mean, the trucker convoy was the closest thing to it. We need another trucker convoy, I guess. I said we send all these warmongering... What's it say? Send all these warmongering rally goers to Iran to fight Israel's war instead of clogging up the streets of Toronto. Because this is a regime change war. You see how they work out, for Canada at least. We're going to get all the refugees. So, tens of thousands of protesters marching in Canada against the Islamic regime in Iran. They also had other marches, including Munich. Why is the Middle East infected the Western world? Yes. They should all go fight. I don't know, what are they still doing here? Why are they here? And then here's some other comments on the Iran thing. The Iran protests for war. I don't care. Like, if you protest against war, then, you know, whatever, that's cool, I guess. But if you protest for it, you should go. Like, if you're protesting for the U.S. to fight, to invade or attack Iran, then you should be suiting up. Otherwise, like, who goes out to protest for a war? Here's Bob Pro, this parody account. All conservatives stand with Iran. All nationalists stand with Canadians. We are not the same. So yeah, the Iran, stuff like the Iran war is a good way to weed out which conservatives are nationalists and which conservatives are just shills, I guess, for the establishment of, political parties here. Here's Mario Zelaya, Pierre's page boy here. Pierre Polye's boy. All of Canada stands with Iran. Such incredible people. And he's quoting an ultra-Zionist Nia Berg. Totally Israel first person, of course. This is Toronto right now. Yeah, holy shit is right. But I said to Mario... I had... Yeah, like, these guys are shills. They're shilling for war. They should be ashamed of themselves, really. Okay. And like, of all the shit going on in Canada, somehow hundreds of thousands of people are protesting for war with Iran. Who is funding this? Canadian prepper. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And it's been all in the news all day. Ooh. So they're basically trying to get, people prepped to accept when the U.S. starts bombing the shit out of them. And then, and there's like 90 million people in Iran, right? So, obviously, there's a good chance if they, destroy the regime, that it could just descend into total, like Syria, basically the country falls apart and people fight it out for the peace, the turf, right? And all that's going to do is result in, like I said, tens of thousands of refugees coming here, maybe more, maybe hundreds of thousands. So, yeah, we'll see how pro-Iran they are then. Like, it's It's pretty ridiculous. We should really concentrate on Canada. This Iran business is ridiculous. Anyway, so that's all we have for today. Pretty interesting stuff. Pretty interesting. We'll see this guy. Because if this guy's successful, you never know, something could emerge in Canada. Maybe. But it'll be very interesting to see how he does in the UK election, which is probably not too far away. All right, so that's it until when? Sunday? I don't even know what day it is. Tomorrow's the 15th. February 18th. We'll see if the war starts then. By then. Or what other shit goes down. So until then, have a nice rest of your weekend.